Good morning and welcome to my channel. Today I just had the best experience painting this bumblebee and flower loose style painting. This is so much fun and I know you're gonna love it. The supplies that you're gonna need to create this is gonna be a round brush. I use a size 6. It's the perfect for control. This is what I use for the flowers for the most part. The only thing that I use the size 6 for is going to be the actual bee, the legs, antenna, and for the little stick situation, some of these little lines in here, I did use the detailed brush. So if you have just a couple round brushes and some watercolor paints, mine are from MaimeriBlu. I will leave a list of the colors that I used for this painting in the description of this video so that you can find something similar or get these same exact paints if you want. But let's get started. The first thing we're going to work on for this painting will be the flowers, since it's going to be the first layer we want down, so we can put the bee on top of it. So I'm gonna do probably a nice bright orange pinky flower. You can do whatever colors you want to. I'm gonna keep this super loose and unidentified. I'm not gonna pick a specific flower to do for this. It's gonna keep it extra simple. A lot of times when I paint, I start with more pigment, and then as I work, I get more water on my brush, come back to my painting, and let the blending happen that way. You can always go light to dark, and you should always practice kind of both, because they do give slightly different looks sometimes, just in how they run into each other. Adding a touch of yellow to my orange also. I see a lot of paintings when you're doing little bees, a lot of times it's lavender that people will do, and I thought about doing that, but I felt like when I was looking at tutorials, that was the only flower that I could really see. If you want to do that, you're more than welcome to. Just painting a cluster here. Next, I'm gonna work on the stem, so grabbing some green, a little bit. This is sap green and my green gold here. If you ever have this streaking happen, you can always play with that and let that be like a look that you go for, but typically it means it's on the drier side, so you might want to add a little bit more water, like if you're trying to avoid that, just to your paintbrush as you go. Working very intuitively here. Don't really know what I'm doing. I'm going to do a watered down version of the same thing, almost like a distant one. It's not going to nearly catch the eye as much, but that's exactly what we want. Working very loose. While that's still wet, I'm gonna grab a little bit of green, sap green and green gold. A couple quick strokes. try to avoid any harsh lines here, since this is, again, we want it to look like it's in the background, so it has to take less attention to the eye, which comes from lighter colors. Can add a couple sticks, working my burnt umber into some green. Blending it out. Now that our little flower scene is done, we can start working on the bee. I'm going to use my size 2 round brush from Princeton. This is the Heritage series. And I'm going to start with the yellow of the bee, so for those stripes. Then we'll work on the black. Primary yellow is the color that I have here, but naturally it's blended a little bit with some other colors because I don't rinse my brush between colors. So there's a little bit of orangish in here for that tone, which is actually gonna look really nice. So right up here, we're gonna have that bee perched. If it helps you to sketch, you can sketch. Rinsing off my brush. I don't mind if my colors bleed here, so I don't have to wait for it to dry. Coming to my carbon black. Right up here, we're gonna have the head perched. Bees are so much fun to paint. They're super easy. Chunky bees are usually cuter, so I could tell mine was looking a little skinny. I'm just adding a little bit of width to this guy. Grabbing some water, it doesn't have to be perfectly clean. I'm gonna create the illusion of some wings here. So let's go there. With a little bit of paint on your brush, maybe a brownish, blackish mixture. Gonna add some details to the wings. Nothing that you have to think too much about, just kind of shadowing. Let's add the feet and the antenna with some black. Work in little segments, so it's not just like one big chunk. I'm gonna rinse my brush and touch with some water just because I want to keep this painting loose. So maybe we're not able to see every little detail between, you know, each little segment of the bee. I'm gonna touch up the feet just right here. We can add a little detail to our yellow stripes by adding a touch of orange and just darkening up maybe a couple little stripes in there if you want, or even just right around the edges. Next, I'm taking my size 6, and even though the top of this bee is already dry, or at least the top of the wing, I'm going through and I'm going to loosen it up, and I'm going to blur the edges of the wing so it's slightly less distracting. This wasn't in my original plan, but this is how you would go about doing that. If you're not necessarily loving the harsh lines, there might be time to save it for you. Just creating a blur. Now don't do too much water, or then your paper will end up wrinkly. Now to make this even more fun, let's finish off with a little bit of a splatter technique. So grab some paint on your brush. You could do a smaller brush if you're scared you're gonna overdo it. I already have my size 6, so this is what I'm gonna use. And I'm doing the same color as my flowers. We're gonna splatter a little here in the corner just by flicking my brush. Over in this corner. Look how fun it is blending into the wings that we just did. Right there. If there's anything that's too harsh, what you would want to do is grab some more water. Let's say maybe you had way too much splatter in the corner. What you're going to do is you're going to add water, and you can just fade it out. Don't do this for all of them, but maybe just bring in some of that color. These could be just distant flowers. Super pretty. Could do this with as many colors as you want to. I'm just gonna do the one, setting down my paintbrush. Our loose bumblebee flower painting is finished, and I'm so excited about this one. This was one of the most fun things that I've probably painted recently. I think just having the freedom to do whatever flower situation I wanted to create, along with just like the loose style and the bumblebee. I think you're really gonna enjoy this one. If you do end up painting along, please leave me a comment and tell me what your experience was like. I hope that you decide to join me over on Instagram too, where I have some short form videos, maybe if you don't need as much guidance for paintings, or maybe you like a little bit of both. So thank you so much for joining, and I will see you in the next one.